Well, if I can't do a video game video like I wanted to, I'll at least settle for a reaction video. What's up, guys? It's Leo Hightower, and I'm back up with YouTube with a new React to video. This time around, we are taking a look at Top 10 Sega Fails by the Fiery Joker, aka Josh. And the Fiery Joker has become one of my favorite YouTubers, next to the lines of his brony, his brony pals, such as Magpie Pony, Lightning Bliss, Dr. Wolf, and many others. But though he has evolved from his brony phase into doing top 10 countdowns, gaming videos, and other little videos. And this one right here, Top 10 Sega Fails. This should be interesting because with how Sega's track record has been on many things, from their video games, marketing, and mishandling of certain franchises and IPs, this should be an interesting watch. I have watched this video maybe 2 times throughout the time it's been on YouTube, and this should be an interesting reaction video. People have also asked me why it is that I do my YouTube videos like this, where I have them downloaded and I watch them on Windows Media Player instead of watching them on YouTube. It's because my internet connection sucks, you guys. And I don't need a video to suddenly start buffering the moment I change its output from 360 to 480. I don't need the video doing that, so I download it via the YouTube downloader and I watch them like this when I do my reaction videos. It's easier, it's much more effective, and I don't have to worry about the video buffering. If I pause the video at one point, I have to wait and stop the video on a certain point. It's less of a hassle. So yeah, there's that. But anyway, this should be interesting. Top 10 Sega Fails by the Fiery Joker. Let's get into this. And also a shout out to the Fiery Joker himself. If you guys want to watch this video for yourself, I'll leave a link in the comments section below. In the description, I mean. And I'll leave a link to Josh's channel because, Josh, if you're watching this, you rock, man. Seriously, keep up the awesome work with your videos. And don't let the haters get to you or anything like that. But without further ado, let's react. Alrighty, let's get into this. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3. Fiery Joker Productions presents Joshua Burner, Piercing Laser, Sega.
Oh, Sega. Having been around since the arcade generation, you'd think by now they had their crap together and know how to keep their reputation afloat by growing and learning more as a business, right?
Isn't that cute? But it's wrong!
Unfortunately, this gaming giant's made more than its fair share of boo-boos, thanks to glitches that could have been easily avoided, failed experiments that cost the company quite a lot, and just an extreme lack of organization. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not exactly malicious. They just never seem to learn. Only unlike Square Enix, they can't always bounce back from it. And as we all know, those who don't learn from history are doomed to be heckled by it. And then repeat it.
So let's not waste any more time, because for this list, we gotta go fast. Oh, trust me, I got special plans for him.
Really? Anyway, number 10. Here we go.
Raise your hand if you think the Google Stadia will succeed. Shut up, you know better.
No.
Funny how the reactions of the modern Google Stadia and its functions of cloud gaming completely ignore the sins of the past. Lest we forget that before we got Stadia, we had the Sega channel. In the mid-90s, Sega decided to take the world by storm and create an online catalog of games that could be downloaded from the internet via cable TV and played on the Sega Genesis. This includes greats such as Sonic & Knuckles, Super Street Fighter 2, Mega Man The Wily Wars, and the incredible Bubsy 2.
Wow, they should have called this game Drugsy.
Unfortunately, combining the high monthly fee and the fact that it was done on the dying Genesis, cash flow and reviews weren't that favorable, so it was scrapped when the Saturn was released 2 years later. It's low because while it cost Sega money, it actually gave gaming giants a look at a test run on how online game networks could function. Sure, there were some bumps along the way, but we would eventually get the PlayStation Network, Steam, Xbox Live, and others. It honestly was just mistimed in both console lifecycle and time period. Get used to seeing that problem on this list.
Number 9. Fun fact. My cousin had the Sega channel at one point, and I was mesmerized by it. And I'm like, you could download games off the internet with this thing? That's amazing. Because of him, we played Streets of Rage 2, and I got to try out Sonic 3D Blast, and we tried out this one RPG game, which I do not, for the life of me, remember. But it was pretty sucky anyway. So yeah. Moving on. Number 9.
You know, it's funny. 20 years ago, the first Game Boy was released. Look how far we've come.
I know,
when
right?
Nintendo released the Game Boy, it revolutionized the entire handheld video game market, which, up until that point, had mostly been simple LCD games with little complexity.
Yeah,
Sega,
Game
at
&
that time,
Watches.
had also been working on a handheld to compete with Nintendo's Game Boy, but theirs was going to be a titan in comparison. A newer processor, double the RAM of the Game Boy, games from Sega's Master System library, and a screen that's not only in color but also backlit? This powerhouse was going to be Sega's launch into the handheld market, and it tripped on the first hurdle. Biggest issue with such a powerful machine
The
would be
Game Gear
cost of
tripped on the
running it.
first
For comparison,
hurdle?
a Game Boy took
Damn.
4 AA batteries and gave about 30 hours of game time. The Game Gear, however, took 6 AA batteries and gave you 5, at best. But it wasn't just battery life that consumed the Game Gear. Over the course of its life cycle, the Game Gear was only able to achieve a library size of around 300 titles, compared to the Nintendo Game Boy consisting of over 1,000 titles. This was due to Nintendo being sneaky and having developers sign non-compete clauses, meaning few third-party developers were actually able to create games exclusively for the Game Gear. Sega's second attempt at a handheld?
The
has
Nomad.
an even unhappier ending. The Sega Nomad was a portable console that could play Genesis games on the go. However, it had an even worse battery life, eating 6 AAs in 2 to 3 hours. This, coupled with its release window being during the Saturn's development, meant it was severely overlooked. The high production cost didn't help matters either. The Nomad was such a failure that Sega wouldn't enter the handheld market again, and would instead focus on their new home consoles, the Sega Saturn and the Dreamcast. Yeah, we'll get to those.
Jeez. One of my teacher's sons had a Sega Nomad, and I was mesmerized by it because I guess she had to bring him to work because he was out of school or something like that. But I kept staring at him playing the Nomad on occasion, and I was like, this thing is a portable Sega Genesis? That's insane. But looking at this, I'm like, 6 AA batteries and only gave you 2 hours worth of gaming play? Damn, son! That's jacked up. Jacked up beyond words. And the Game Gear? I guess I'm kind of lucky that I never owned a Game Gear back then in the old days, cause I was a bit of a Game Boy guy. I was a whole Nintendo guy back then. Had a Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP. I never played a Game Gear. Never. Only have I played Game Gear games through compilations like Sonic's Mega Collection and Sonic's Gems Collection. So yeah. Moving on. Number 8.
I'd like to shift focus to Sony for a brief moment. What was one of the biggest factors for the PS2's success? I would say the game library, which adds up to more than 4,000 titles. It would be thanks to many third-party developers that worked hard to get the PS2 its long life far beyond its own console generation. Now, if we're going to talk about Sega in this regard, we're going to enter a bizarro world where everything is backwards and crappy. Sega's had a long, sordid history with third-party developers. One issue you'll see pop up over and over is their lack of third-party games, ultimately leading to the death of their consoles. But it isn't just the lack of securing developers. Sega doesn't even seem to want to try and keep the ones they do score, like with Platinum Games and Bayonetta. And what does Sega like to focus on?
Money, 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 it's the gold and silver.
Since the decision to steer away from hardware and stay strictly with software publishing in 2001, more than half of their 600-plus titles have either been from Sonic, Yakuza, or the Shin Megami Tensei franchises. And at least 80 of those titles were releases of older games on new consoles. I'd understand them wanting to play it safe on products they know will sell, but time and time again, it's shown that Sega will chase any fad, or what they think is a fad, in order to make money, often to the detriment of their own business. It was so terrible that in 2018, Sega reported a more than 70% profit loss in that fiscal year, citing poor fund management. You know what might work, Sega? Making something new for a change, or letting people help you make something new for a change.
And by that, I mean not another Yakuza clone!
Yeah. Make something new for a change instead of doing something like being all hip and cool and being with what the kids think are popping and locking in the streets these days, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, no. Focus on something that will work. Not trying to be like the trendy fools you are. And yeah, like you said, not another Yakuza clone. Mind you, of course, I never played Yakuza. I have watched people play it, like my pal Darkio09, and I think that it's a pretty good series. But they really need to focus on not making money, but what works. Because that's how they did it back then in the old days. With all their original IPs and stuff like that. So yeah. Number 7.
A house divided cannot stand, and few houses are divided as Sega's. To this day, there are reports of middle and upper management fighting, but there's one example that really stands out. Back during the fourth generation console wars, both Segas of America and Japan decided to make their own respective consoles. Unfortunately, both parties were ignorant of each other's ambitions, and so once Sega America put out the 32X, Sega Japan was adamant about putting out the Saturn. So the 32X failed due to the impending Saturn, and the Saturn failed because Sega Japan put it out immediately during E3. You're pathetic!
You're pathetic-er!
You're both losers.
This idiotic case of miscommunication led both consoles to flounder, and the Sega CD didn't help matters. Ultimately, this competition with themselves caused the cost to grow too high, causing Sega as a whole to drop out of the console wars entirely. A war that literally everyone involved loses, especially the consumers. Look, Sega, other Sega, I get that you each want to be the best at what you do, but if you had to start going at each other's throats when you both represent the same organization...
Something is clearly wrong.
No, I have nothing to say about that. He's right. If you gotta go at each other's throats and you represent the same organization, then I think, as that Steven Universe clip pointed, something is clearly wrong. Seriously, what the hell? Anyway, moving on. Good God. Number 6.
You know how YouTube keeps changing its policies and that almost got my channel unverified last month?
Yeah, I remember. Oh, YouTube and Sega. I know what this is going.
To protect their personal property, despite the people they are doing it to, for the most part, aren't violating fair use. To be fair, the term fair use is so broad that it's difficult to perfectly enforce it. Now, there are a million videos on YouTube explaining the intricacies of fair use and copyright law, so I won't get into that. But despite all of these videos and awareness of the laws, it doesn't stop companies like Sega from abusing it. Back in 2012, Sega pretty much played copyright roulette, sending out strikes on channels showing off their content. It got so bad that channels were deleted as a result. The majority of these were due to an online campaign for the Shining Force series, which wanted the Shining games to go from the action RPG days of today back to the strategy RPG days of old. Unfortunately, while the campaign was made to be an appreciation for the series, and whose goal was just to get Sega to re-look at their golden years, Sega Japan interpreted it as an attack on their franchise, and decided to not only attack the leaders on Twitter, but send a tsunami of strikes to any channel with Shining Force content. Some of these channels only had vlogs of people talking about how much they loved the series, and with no actual gameplay at all, but Sega still struck it because they thought it spoke badly about their protected property. Sega has lightened up on its YouTube policies as of late, with Sega of America responding to claims directly, and even stopping other companies from making strikes on their part without their permission. But Sega Japan could still be pretty ruthless, and it doesn't excuse what they did in the past.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a strike on this video, aren't I?
You got struck. Number 5.
Hey kids, did you know that Sega makes games other than Sonic?
I did!
Neither did they.
Back in the day, Sega gave us all kinds of different games besides
Gunstar
Sonic
Heroes,
and the
Vector
occasional
Man,
other franchise.
Super Monkey
They had
Ball,
everything from
Knights,
platformers, fighters, running
Virtual
gun,
Fighter,
RPGs. As time went on, however,
Phantasy
more
Star,
and more
Crazy
of these franchises
Taxi,
began to fall to the wayside. For decades now, Sega has been sitting
Eternal
on top
Champions,
of a mountain
Golden
of ignored
Axe.
IPs. And other than the occasional crossover appearance, nearly all of them are ignored. I've alluded to this in Top
Lion
10 over
King.
Shadow Games, where I said that much of the Genesis platforming library had been ignored in favor of Sonic. What's irritating is that it's still going on today, which really sucks if you're a fan of Knights, Vector Man, Gunstar Heroes, Crazy Taxi, several neglected IPs later, Virtual Fighter, or Super Monkey Ball. Now, there are some lucky ones that are able to avoid obscurity, like Yakuza and Valkyria Chronicles, but those are the exceptions. Anything else is more than likely doomed to be lost in the couch cushions of neglected/forgotten intellectual property.
At the very least, we gotta see how Shenmue ends. Or not.
No. Number 4.
Genesis does what Nintendo don't. In this case, that's a bad thing.
While we did talk about the Sega channel earlier and the fun that sprouted from that, the Genesis did have other problems that Sega tried to cram down our throats too. Of course, we're talking about the add-ons that they hoped would be the next big thing, and tried to use it to capitalize on new technologies that were hot at the time. First off, you ever heard of CDs? Well, Sega did in 1991 and created the Sega CD, an add-on that gave the Genesis higher processing power, more memory, and the ability to play these fancy new CDs. Unfortunately, there were only 2 launch games, plus a $300 price tag that we would still complain about today. So yeah, dead on arrival, but it did sell 2.24 million units, eventually. Then the 32X. Oh boy. This little add-on was created by Sega to help ease gamers into 32-bit gaming, with the release of the Saturn coming in 1995. So, as a cost-saving option, the 32X add-on was to allow gamers the ability to play 32-bit games without getting the twice as expensive Saturn. While the cost was better than the CD, third-party support was lacking as developers were afraid of developing for a console that was less powerful than the Saturn. A console that was released less than a year later and wouldn't have backwards compatibility with the 32X. Plus, when the system was released, Sega couldn't keep up with demand, so consumers were pretty annoyed too. Finally, there was supposed to be a 32X Genesis hybrid console called the Sega Neptune, but with all the issues causing it to get killed before release, probably should have called it the Sega Pluto. The Genesis was a good console while it lasted, but between online failure, add-on failures, and not having Sega to Sanshiro beat the living daylights out of people to get them to play the system, it still lives in infamy. Though it was Sega's best and most popular console. Speaking of consoles,
I know where this is going.
if you're a younger gamer or only got into it in recent years, you might be unaware that Sega originally made consoles. There was a time where the console wars were primarily between them and Nintendo. Then the PlayStation came and utterly curb-stomped Sega. Of course, they probably would have survived longer had Sega not had their own issues with console development. In the case of the Genesis, we had the aforementioned add-ons, but also the fact that certain games required a 6-button controller for optimal gameplay. As for the Saturn, it had technically impressive hardware at the time of its release, but its complexity made harnessing this power difficult for developers accustomed to conventional programming. Boy, doesn't that sound familiar?
Why Why does it always have to be me?
Then we get to the Dreamcast. While
Dreamcast.
certainly not a bad console, it had more than its fair share of issues. Whether
yeah.
it be not using DVDs, the awkward controller, the cost to produce, the limited game library, or the lack of third-party support. As for the network, the pack-in modem, along with other limitations, effectively killed the possibility of it being an online platform before it even started.
With that said, there's another big factor outside of the actual development that really causes them to fail.
And that would be number 2.
As important as the development of consoles are, the release window is also important. Of course, when it comes to Sega, this seems to be something they were never able to grasp. The Sega Saturn was announced right at E3 1995 for immediate release. No trying to hype up consumers for the American release. No preparation.
Lord.
Nothing, just saying it's released, telling everyone the price, and boom, please buy it. Meanwhile, this was Sony's announcement.
$299.
Damn!
Dang!
By the time Sega released the Dreamcast,
Console release
it was no
timing.
use, as the PlayStation had thoroughly dominated the console market. And the PlayStation 2? Well,
Yeah.
probably a bad idea releasing the Dreamcast between those two.
Yeah.
Now, if this only happened once, it wouldn't be a big deal. You can make mistakes with trying to make a successful console. It's easy to screw up. But they keep making the same mistake, desperately hoping that it wouldn't happen the next time they did it.
He never knew when to quit.
Honorable mentions. Yeah, the release window for the Dreamcast was pretty abysmal. I remember playing a Dreamcast back then on the Christmas of 1999 and 2000, and I loved my Dreamcast. I wish I still had mine, though. But we had limited games for it back then, so yeah. Those who do not learn from history are destined to repeat it, just like he said during the beginning of this video. Damn. But PS2 did even it up for me back then. Anyway, honorable mention.
Sword of Sodan. It actually did pretty well on PC, but then they tried the Sega Genesis and it did not work. Ken Pender's
Wow.
legal cases. Comic writer Ken Penders.
We do not speak of Ken Penders. Screw Ken Penders and the fact that he took away some of the characters. There's like Julie Sue and all them. F you, Ken Penders.
Pretty well on PC, but then they tried the Sega Genesis and it did not work. Ken Pender's legal cases. Comic writer Ken Penders sued both Sega and Archie Comics Publishing for the right to use his characters in the comics. Repeatedly. You think either side would have gotten it right the first time, turning down Microsoft to develop a console. To be fair, they more than likely dodged a bullet, what with Microsoft's own skeletons in its closet.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, I think they dodged a bullet when it came to the consoles, yeah. I can already guess what number 1 is gonna be. It's gonna be Sonic! Oh joy! This should be fun! Number 1.
You might have noticed a severe lack of Sonic up until now.
Yep.
Get comfy!
I've been avoiding this until now because I wanted to save anything Sonic related for one big entry. For the record, I won't be discussing the obvious.
Meow?
When does a gaming company actually get involved with a major film adaptation? Anyways, for all the time they take to promote their iconic blue hedgehog, Sega doesn't always do their best at handling how to present him, which leads to some embarrassingly hokey games. In terms of ideas that were dumb from the start, the crowd definitely goes to Sonic Unleashed. I mean, a werewolf situation can be passable if done right, but this? Turning Sonic into an oversized honey badger and making half the game a poor man's beat-em-up? That's just way too silly and really makes the game only half okay. Speaking of silly ideas, Shadow the Hedgehog, a super dark, serious game for the emotionally stunted gamer that nobody understands. Ugh, so mature, so edgy.
So bad.
laughably pseudo-dark, annoying, repetitive, and confusing thanks to the branching paths. Seriously, they gave Shadow a motorcycle and a machine gun.
Because that's a little redundant. Can you say redundant?
Oh, and don't even get me started on Sonic.
Oh Lord, no.
Not the cartoon.
The cartoon is
actually
awesome.
gold. It never took itself too seriously, and the jokes were smarter than they had any right to be.
You know, Amy, anytime someone calls attention to the breaking of gender rules, it ultimately undermines the concept of gender equality by implying that this is an exception and not the status quo. What?
That being said, the spin-off game,
game?
Rise of Lyric, wishes it could be on the same level as the cartoon.
The cartoon was golden,
dull, glitchy gameplay,
but
and an
the
even
game,
more boring story killed any credibility this game could have had. Speaking of which, that reminds me of Sonic Forces. This little number was 4 years in the making. 3 to decide a concept, and 1 to actually develop it.
Oh,
and
Lord.
It really shows. If that weren't bad enough, there's also a bit of sketchiness with the fact that they lied about who was really behind the game's development. They
What?
claimed that Sonic Team were the ones behind it, when really they were just the overseers who outsourced it to Big Red Button, aka
What?
the geniuses behind Rise of Lyric.
Lying about the people behind the game, and then having the team that failed the first time try and fail again.
What? Wow, Sega. Really? Oh my god. I did not know that. Seriously. No wonder the game did so bad. No offense to anyone who might have liked the game, but if they give it to Big Red Button to do it, and yet they failed again because they failed at Sonic Boom, then what the frick? What the frick? Seriously. And yeah, Sonic Boom the cartoon series was comedy gold with a little action. But the video games? No. I'm glad I never bought me a copy of the game because I knew it was gonna suck. Just like Sonic Lost World. Don't get me wrong, I thought that Sonic Lost World was okay. I never played it, but I watched people play it, but I didn't think it was gonna be good either. So, yeah. Anyways.
I'm honestly not sure how well thought out this plan was.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, not all of these ideas are doomed from the start. Some of them are actually pretty interesting, like the Sonic Storybook series. These two games actually had a unique concept, both being recreations of classic works of literature.
The Secret
While the first
Rings
one,
control
The Secret Rings
sucked,
was
but
actually really fun. Both games
it was fun, but
tragically
the Black
knocked down
Knight
a
was
few notches
actually
thanks to frustrating
fun. I
design and
liked
bad coding.
Sonic and the Black
Before I get to
Knight.
the big one, I want to briefly talk about Sonic Extreme. What's that? You've never heard of Sonic Extreme? Well, I don't blame you, because it was canceled before we could find out if it would be any good, which kind of contributed to killing off the Sega Saturn.
Damn!
And now to cap off this monstrous entry, we wrap things up with arguably the most infamous Sonic the Hedgehog game of all time.
Oh,
and
Lord.
don't pretend you don't know which one I'm referring to.
Say the line,
Sonic 06.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's too easy to just simply rant about this disaster piece, especially since everyone and their Uncle Shirley's ripped it a new one. So instead, I like to close this chapter with a little serenade for the little mess that couldn't.
Oh, okay.
It is the very mortal love of modern game calamity, the glitchy graphics, stupid plot, and just a lack of sanity. The bad design and car controls inspire much profanity in physics like gravity and go for abnormality. A barely tested product rushed before its true finality. The goddess of the favorite holiday of Christianity. Some beta testing really could have helped this sad disaster cease. And then we were the proudest mess of modern gaming masterpiece. And then we were the proudest mess of modern gaming masterpiece. And then we were the proudest mess of modern gaming masterpiece. And then we were the proudest mess of modern gaming masterpiece.
In an ironic way, it kind of is.
Playing different characters would normally be super fun, but lack of depth and glitches will make Aaron say.
Game grumps.
The very mortal love of modern game calamity. Glitching graphics, stupid plot, just a lack of sanity. It is the very mortal love of modern game calamity. And if you're probably not taught by glitches killing Sonic dead, anachronistic art design will surely make you scratch your head with Anthro-Disney creatures next to anime monstrosities. The boss designs and civilize are horrible atrocities.
It's no use!
It's so bizarre, it's a completely new reality. A timey-wimey story that's ignoring continuity, with Blaze the Cat embracing a peculiar morality.
Oh, yeah.
Why is she encouraging Silver to kill Sonic? They're supposed to know each other. Did Sonic Rush just not happen?
Sonic 06's story was messed up.
Epic bestiality.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Yeah.
Plus 50,000 loading screenshots every time you do a thing. Observing Sonic fall this far for fans, it's really gotta sting. With glitch graphics, super plot, and just a lack of sanity. It is the very model of a modern game calamity. With glitch graphics, super plot, and just a lack of sanity. It is the very model of a modern game calamity. I'm the fiery Joker, and the next countdown decision on December 15th will be all the fails of Activision!
Hey everyone, this is Josh. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You can follow me on social media, on Twitter and Tumblr at Josh Scorcher. If you'd like to support the show, then become a patron, which includes a ton of rewards, or click the join button below to become a member and get a fire badge next to your comments and some special rewards, including a shout out right here. Our first shout out is Buzzsaw the Righteous, and he has a message for you. Hope you're all doing awesome, and as I always say, remember to look sharp and stay righteous. Have a lovely day. Take care.
Yeah. Keep on rocking, Josh. Keep on rocking. Seriously. Yeah. So, that was me reacting to Top 10 Sega Fails by the Fiery Joker, and oh my god, that last one. Yeah, Sega really needs to find better ways to handle our beloved Blue Blur, otherwise they will successfully kill him. And when they kill him, that's when my love for the franchise will probably dwindle too, but I'm not gonna stop caring about Sonic even after he's dead. I will always remember the golden days of when he was so good. Cartoons, comic books, TV shows and media, and of course video games. But yeah, seriously, Sega, what the ever-loving hell? Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And from what he showed in this top 10 countdown, oh yeah. Jesus, Sega really needs to get their crap together, or else they will lose forever. Seriously, the fact that they stopped doing hardware with consoles and everything, it's just sad. And whenever they do the little crossover things they do, that's something very simple and cool, like what they did with Sonic and Sega's All-Star Racing and Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, as well as the Sega Superstar games that they do, like Sega Superstar Tennis and Sega Superstar games. Those are pretty fun, but still, we need new games from the IPs that you've neglected. And like Josh said, not another Yakuza clone. Bayonetta is doing an awesome job with Sega and how the Platinum games are doing, and other little titles, but seriously, you guys need to do something with your old IPs, because it's just sad seeing these franchises rot away in their vault, in their studio vault, never to be released again. Unless, of course, it's a compilation that people put together, like Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection or some kind of Sega Mega Mix or something. But, yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for this reaction video. I hope you guys have liked this video, and I hope you guys have liked reacting to it. If you guys want to watch the original video, I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. But for now, this is Leo Hightower. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay golden. And as always, be a fighter. A fighter is someone who never quits. A fighter is someone who never gives up. Until then, peace out.